Hey, so I wanted to share some of the things I had kind of come up with for my next month's curriculum. This month, I've taken a break from doing anything daily or any of the practices that I had kind of put in place for the month of October, mostly so I could understand which ones still called to me, which ones I wanted to continue doing, and which ones were maybe not as appealing to me now that I had kind of done them for a month and seen what came out of that. And I want to have something ongoing, but not as frequent as daily. I'm trying to make it so that November and December are the 2 months where I can kind of regroup and understand what I want to do moving forward in 2026. What practices and rituals served me this year that I could really hone to make more of a structure that I can rely on instead of it being so experimental, which there's been a total purpose and benefit to doing experiments, but I think I'm ready to start kind of saying this is what is good for me ongoing, at least for this period of time. So November is a month where I'm like looking and reviewing and kind of processing and also gathering information. Some of that information has come in the form of like inspirational images. Like a lot of my motivation for certain projects comes from seeing things visually that get me excited. And I've realized that Pinterest is a really helpful way to do that. Also, just following certain accounts on TikTok, specifically ones that are like journaling accounts where I love the way they do their layouts and their designs. So I've already kind of worked through the content element of what I want to continue on with. Like I like using my worry book and making that practice something that I feel I can do as daily as possible. I wasn't doing it for a little while at the beginning of November, but I came back to it, which says to me that it's helpful for me and it's like nourishing for me to do that practice instead of making it something that I have to do. I like it when things work out that way. And my daily collage, I am going to be gathering inspirational images and styles of like creating a journal spread so that I can do it for the week instead of daily, which means I can be a little more intricate with my designs. And I'm gonna post a couple on here that were really like when I saw them on Pinterest, I was like, wow, I want to do stuff like that. And I realized that the kind of like planner element of it or the habit tracker or whatever you want to like call that kind of aspect of my journaling practice, it doesn't so much serve for me to like change my habits. It's not for me to be like disciplined or whatever. It's actually more like permission for me to have time where I can like play. And play for me has evolved to mean I need to give myself structure for it. And the structure that I feel is most exciting for me at this point that I want to really try for December is a weekly spread where I can be really creative in the drawings or the paintings that I put in my notebook. I've also been exploring different notebook ideas, mostly from actually all from notebooks that I've already had in my possession that I didn't either finish or just ones that I can kind of experiment with. Part of it is I want to also get a commonplace journal, and I don't know if I want my commonplace journal to also be part of the same place I do my weekly spread. I kind of want that. Like the idea for me to have a like all encompassing like big like meaty notebook sounds really cool to me, and that's where I could like also gather inspirational images too. The next part of this is I'm ready to start incorporating in more tarot and astrology study and play into my curriculum, into my daily experiences, because during the month of October, I was very focused on my collages and on creating conditions for me to want to write in my journals. And I call them journals. it's just a really easy catch-all, all-encompassing word, but like what I'm really doing is I'm specializing. I'm learning how to differentiate the different ways that I receive information and how I process it and how I want it to be expressed. So, with the tarot and astrology, I've started to recognize the blocks that I've had there. Kind of like the things that when I think, oh, I would like to start doing something with that right now, like what happens inside of me that makes me feel like I'm not able to, or like I want to procrastinate. And I think a big part of it was not having a format for note taking or for gathering information that really suited me. And so when I started to actually create spreads in my notebook that my friend made for me, where I was writing down the information that I was learning as summaries from my Women Who Run with Wolves book, I started to realize that I really liked that way of jotting down information and giving myself the option to make it look pretty and create a spread out of it after I had the information down. So this is specifics, and I'm sharing it because these are the specifics that are actually allowing me to move forward. But I think a year ago, if you had told me that I was like paying attention to these kinds of details, I would have been like, that sounds pointless. And so I imagine that this kind of information that I'm sharing, it's not going to necessarily be like helpful for everyone. But the reason I share this is because the few like details that I get from other people sharing about how they use their notebooks and how they organize their information that they have, whether it's like they're learning something really like a class, or whether it's like ideas and almost like an art journal. It's those little nuggets of like information that kind of spark something in me and give me access to a whole nother level that I was waiting to kind of like go onto or felt like I couldn't access before this. So for me, December is going to be a trial month where I will have, by the time we get to December, I will have my setup ready. I will have the notebooks that I want to hold certain information prepared in certain ways so that not only I know, okay, this information is going to go in here, but I want to know how I'm going to put it in there. So like if I'm going to create spreads ahead of time, what I've started to do is I've started to, and I'll show pictures here, like I've started to take notes, not just like from the top of the page. Like I've started to give myself like a edges so that later on I can come in and like make it look pretty and cool so that I want to go back and like re-engage with the material later. And I'm really excited about this art journal aspect of it because when I'm doing my weekly spreads, I feel like that's where I get to be like, okay, I'm going to try to make an art pic, like an artistic piece right now in this notebook, and it just adds a layer of like it feeling more special to me and more personal. So yeah, those are my that's my verbal processing for this month of like what I'm preparing for December, because December is meant to be the month where I can like really try all these things in like a not serious way, but in a way where I can be like, am I going to invest in specific nice journals or notebooks or systems for the next year? I want to give myself the best chance of success. So have a great day. Hope this helped someone. I thought I'd show you guys my Pinterest board for this whole endeavor. You can see more recently I've found a lot of images to be inspirational, but as we get into it, you'll see more of the spreads that include like a weekly or a daily kind of look to them. And then at the very beginning, you'll see where I kind of started with all this, which was basically learning about sketch notes or ways to organize information that kind of made sense, like mind mapping or visual thinking. I also got a lot of inspiration from a specific account that I've been following recently called Uncle Ethel, and her way of organizing her notes and stuff has been really cool to see all the different ways. So